Guess what? What you're thinking about is what you're experiencing. I'm going to say that again. The thoughts that you're having throughout your day is a reflection of the experiences that you're experiencing throughout your day. And it took me a long time. When I say long time, it took years, right? Years for me to figure this out, to figure out the connection between my thoughts and my reality. And the fact that based on my past, based on the trauma, based on the pain and the hurt, the things I was thinking about were not positive. Thus, I was manifesting a reality that was, you guessed it, negative. Negative outcomes. Thinking about everything I didn't want to have happen and thus it happening versus the things I did want to have happen. And believing that I was worthy of incredible, beautiful things happening. And it's wild that in this timeline, whenever you're hearing this message, and I can promise you that this message is a spiritual message. I am speaking to the spirit that when this message connects with you and it resonates with you, it's not coincidence. It's not an accident. This is spiritual. It's energetic connection. And I think that's a big piece of what's missing, especially with men. And where am I going with this? The thing that I needed to cultivate within was a greater sense of spirituality, connection with God. And that God word is so triggering to people because, let's face it, a lot of us have been hurt by people and organizations and places that put God at the forefront of what they stand for. We've been hurt. I've been hurt. Have you? Have you been hurt by people appearing to be representing God that we've confided in, that you trust in, that you listen to, that you follow, and yet through my experience, may not be yours, but I'm a share in this flow state. I love it. Stick around, stay tuned. Listen to this message. It's getting good. So throughout my experiences, I know that as a wounded man, which was really a traumatized, emotionally broken little boy, I sought all different avenues of meaning, purpose, healing to this life. And many times those avenues led me to a place called the church. And I didn't have an upbringing inside of a church. And yet, throughout my own seeking of meaning of life, it seems like I've always come back to God, to Creator, to the source, that there's something about this experience. It's not a void, it's not without. And that's my belief. But I do know that there's been many times where I've immersed myself into different church cultures only to exit with a lot of wounds, with a lot of sense of hurt and pain and unmet expectations or, misaligned experiences where you read one thing and you say, okay, here's what we're supposed to be doing here. And then you're looking around and you're like, ain't nobody really doing this shit. And it's like, you know, I talked to a church leader that mentored me for many years recently. And we reflected on, we used to go as men and have these Bible studies, 6 o'clock in the morning, multiple times a week. And I told him, one of the pieces that I recall from these experiences was, a lot of men would show up and, they've been sort of in that culture for decades and decades. And yet they would show up, like almost like a therapy session, right? Like, man, you won't believe what's going on in my life right now. I got all these problems. I got all these issues and da 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 da. And, we would all try and like think and mentor and encourage, that kind of iron sharpening iron approach. And, lo and behold, after a few years, you kind of see a pattern there. It's just like a continuation where there's not real growth. And so I did talk to this church leader. I said, man, I bet you if I was to go back in, right, because I've been away from this for some time, if I was to go back into those groups, I have a feeling that it'd be the same guys with the same issues. And he confirmed that. He's like, you're probably right. And that's a huge problem for me. And I think that's a huge problem for you. When you start thinking about spirituality, when you start thinking about being more spiritually minded, that all these boxes and all these organizations that come up, and I say boxes, I mean a church, they're not really helping to facilitate real growth in our lives. It's more of a enabling. Like enabling, doing just enough to put a Band-Aid on whatever thing you're scared about, praying for. And yet, I don't know. Everybody has a different experience. But back to the main point here is that our thoughts are creating our reality. And I think that I had a conversation with a subscriber yesterday, and it was on the conversation of love. But greater than love is one thing, but the thing that person desired, and it was something I desired, and thus bringing up this conversation, was thinking about being still, having silence. And I know throughout my 12-year, right, healing journey, post hitting rock bottom, that I've cultivated an ability to put my thinking mind to rest. But man, for me to show you my process, it takes a lot of work. It's totally possible. But I do think that we need to be able to, as men and even women listening here, that we need to be able to connect with this higher power. That you need to find the stillness of the day versus the commotion of the day. And I'm someone personally, I love a slow start to the day. And oftentimes what a slow start to the day means is I got to wake up in the stillness of the morning, the darkness of the morning, when no one else is really moving around and, you don't even hear traffic. Not even the birds are doing their thing or the roosters are crowing. It's quiet. It's still. And part of my morning routine is I put in positive affirmations from the jump. I actually sit there and I start planting seeds of love. I send love to myself. I send love to just the things that pop up in my mind. Like that's like the minute I kind of come back conscientiously. And then I get into some positive affirmations. I have like go-tos every morning that I listen to. And I'm telling you, that's like a non-negotiable, is listening to positive affirmations, washing my mind, my spirit, my energy with positivity. Things that I may not be thinking about, but things that I need to hear in order to shift my thinking, to alter my thinking. And I can tell you that I then go into some breath work and journaling. And in my journaling, there's a lot more, writing down the things I'm grateful for, writing down the things I love. And sometimes these things that I love are things that I've had problems loving in the past. And big part of that is just loving myself, right? Loving the mistakes I've made and knowing that I've had lessons and opportunities to learn and grow in every single one of these circumstances. And then I get into a period of meditation and prayer. And nowadays, my focus is on one, just connecting with higher source, connecting with my spirit guides. And it's seeking clarity on what do you need to hear on the other side of this screen? I mean, no kidding. My life has shifted to the point where it's like, this is a spiritual message. This is a spiritual journey. I'm not preaching church. I'm not preaching Jesus right now. I'm just preaching life and getting people to still themselves, to heal themselves, to connect with themselves. And I know that's all scary to the real hardcore Christians that are out there. It's Christians. I mean, I don't think I connect a lot with Muslims and Hindus and Buddhists and Jewish, people. I mean, it's the Christians that are the most aggressive, it feels like. And I'm not against you, right? I've prayed Jesus into my heart many, 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 many times. And there's been times that it's been successful and other times where it's like I'm still feeling like shit. And I'm still needing more. And yet, I do believe that as men, there's 2,000 men every day killing themselves. That's real talk. And I think that as men, there's so much pressure in this world to perform and to outdo the next man. And, we see all this success of some and we're like, why can't I get ahead? Why don't I catch a break? And there was two things that shifted in me that really started to create more peace with who I am. First was I realized there was actually three things. We'll say three things that you need to think about right now. First is no one's coming to save you. No one's going to rescue you. So whatever situation you see right now in your life, first, extreme ownership, it's your problem. Thus, there's a positive solution for it. No matter how big the problem is, there's a positive solution for you to solve. But you got to have that warrior mindset to be able to say, I made this problem, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it done. And we want to blame, right? A lot of times I would sit there and I'd blame my partners and, my lovers and all this stuff. I want to blame the world. I'd even sometimes want to blame God for my problems. When I just needed to realize, you know what? This was a lot of my thoughts. This is a lot really based on unhealed trauma. And I have the ability to start fixing these things. So I had to first say no one was coming to rescue me. No one's got my back at the end of the day. I need to do what I need to do. Secondly, right? It's me versus me. I'm no longer competing with you. I'm only competing with who I was yesterday, last week, last month, last year, last decade. That's who I'm competing against. And the beautiful thing about that shift in your mindset is that for me to win, you don't have to lose. No one has to lose for me to win. For you to win, no one has to lose. I do believe that this is a world of infinite abundance. Everything that you desire, you dream of, that you truly seek in your heart, in your mind, in your soul, it's available to you. But you have to stop with the competitiveness and the negative envy and jealousy and anger and and the injustices that, oh, this person, like, they seem like they're no good, but why are they getting ahead? How come I can't catch a break? You got to cut that. It's you versus you. Are you truly putting in your best effort each and every day? And guess what? On the days that you get knocked down, get up, dust off, and keep going. That's the results kill excuses. Because your excuses will kill your results. So first, no one's coming to rescue you. Second, it's me versus me. Right? And the third thing that really helped me to shift was the fact that I needed help. I couldn't do it all alone. And I didn't need to do it all alone. And some of you may want to go to the pastor. Some of you may go to therapy. Some of you may go to a friend. But I'm telling you, the friends are usually not capable of bearing your emotional burdens, your wounds, your pain, all that stuff. And it takes a warrior to ask for that third one, to ask for some help. No one's going to rescue you. So you can't just lay there and wait for someone to show up and save your day. It is you versus you, so you're only competing against yourself. You don't got to look at what anybody else is doing. And I shifted my mindset by realizing that I'm going to start clapping for people. When I see someone successful and doing amazing things, in my heart, in my mind, I'm going to cheer for them. I'm going to love that post. In the past, I might have, check your spirit, check your mind. When you see someone winning, when you see someone living an incredible life, something that you, in your heart of hearts, wish that you were doing right then and there with them or on your own, what energy are you sending to them? Is it negative thoughts? Is it anger, hatred, jealousy, envy? Or is it like, man, that looks so fun. I love that. Great job. Like you see someone that is successful, gets a raise, sells a house, makes a bunch of money, wins the lottery. Like, are you celebrating these people or are you energetically tearing them down? You have to check yourself because those thoughts, back to the beginning, is what's pulling in your reality. And when you're negative, you're going to get negativity. But when you start cheering and supporting people and just clapping for people's wins as if they're yours, when you see that dream car driving around, how do you feel? Do you feel like, oh, I love those cars so much. I love those cars. I bet you they're having such a great time driving that car. Some of this stuff may sound childish, but it's not. It's literally those little tinkerings in our own minds, in our own spirit, that shift us from negative to positive. And if we give positivity, we get positivity. We get positive response. If you give negativity, even just with your thoughts, your secret thoughts, no one's coming to rescue you. It's you versus you. And don't be afraid to ask for help. But make sure you're asking for help from the right source. Someone that truly does align with what you're wanting to do. It would not be of good service if you were wanting to go back to school and finish up a college degree and you're going to go get advice from someone that's never been to college. It would not make sense for you to want to start a business, but then to go get advice from someone that's never been successful in business. It wouldn't make sense for you to want to rent out something on a short-term rental like Airbnb or Vrbo and yet get advice from someone that's never done that. Right? Getting financial advice from someone that's filed multiple bankruptcies doesn't make sense. So you need to know where you're getting your information from. And so even with like professional medical help, I've had to go through many therapists. And there's a reason why, a lot of people say, therapy don't work. It doesn't work if you don't want it to. Again, it's your belief. I didn't give up because I had one bad therapist, two bad therapists, 3, 4, 5, all these bad therapists. I kept showing up saying, I want the results. And I need someone neutral to talk to about my problems, about the situations in my life. Because I'm telling you, if you're, as a man specifically, putting all the burden, all your emotional burdens on your kids, your spouse, your best friends, like these people have their own shit going on and they're not capable of of figuring out your shit. Thus, back to part 1. No one's coming to rescue you. And so it would be advisable to go and get professional help, go get spiritual help, or even connect with someone like me that's been there and done that and now can articulate a process over the course of 12 years, hitting rock bottom, losing everything. And you know what they say, the comeback is greater than the setback. And I have tried so many things along the way that I now realize what works, what didn't work, so that I can, accelerate your healing process, your transformational process, versus just kind of, with the machete in the jungle trying to cut a path. I now have a path for you that leads you to your dreams, to your goals, to your dream life. But you got to be wanting to put in the work and willing to give up a lot of the bullshit that's distracting you right now. And once you're able to really have that commitment, like enough's enough, you make a choice. I am taking a leap of faith. I'm all in. I'm sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. I want more out of this life. I see that there's more potential. Guess what? You're going to have to be willing to get rid of everything. Let go of everything. You don't get rid of it. You let go of it. And what's meant for you comes back. What's not goes away. And you start to heal. You start to grow. You start to evolve. You start to realize that watching other men work for hours on end isn't really exciting anymore. You'd much rather go out there and live life and, be outdoors or just whatever you can immerse yourself in that really pulls on your heartstrings, that really puts you as the star of the movie called life. And you're worthy of that. And so I hope that this message resonates with you. I know we kind of went through a lot of different things, but I do still believe that men are lacking that spiritual connection. That's what's really allowing me to show up right here, right now, is the fact that I have surrendered to God. That doesn't mean that I'm going to bash you over the head with my religious beliefs or my spiritual beliefs. It ain't about that. That's insulting, really. It's not likable. It's not relatable. I'm going to come over here and show you what it was like for me to be in the dirt, to stay in the dirt, but to yet transform myself and ultimately transcend myself into the greatest version that I can possibly be. And now that I've approached that and am beginning to embody it, I am now sharing it with the entire world from a place of unconditional love. All I want is to inspire change in you. All I want is for you to have a fresh perspective. And I do pray that this message resonates with someone on the other side of the screen here, that you could have the patience and the interest to hear me speak for almost 25 minutes now. I can get long-winded, I realize that, but it's a part of my gift. My gift is the gift of speech. It's telling my story. And I'm going to continue doing that. I'm going to continue showing up for me first, holding myself accountable, and trying to encourage change and transformation in you, knowing that we need each other. I got you. Do you got you? It's a painful thing that if I believe more in you than you believe in yourself, regardless of your circumstances. I've turned it all around, man. And I'm getting back more than I ever lost. And you can do the same. No matter what you've been through, no matter what you've survived. I always say, the more shit you've been through, right? The more things you've survived, that means the greater the calling on your life, which is a spiritual thing. There is a purpose for your life. Thank you for listening to today's message. I love you guys. I appreciate all the new subscribers. If you haven't yet, it costs you nothing to subscribe to the channel, share the message, and continue giving yourself permission to improve your life one step at a time, one day at a time. I love you guys. You know the drill. Results kill excuses, because if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth it. Greg's out.